Welcome to the Tone Jerks podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gower, and with me today we got a special guest. It's been maybe like a year and a half since he's been on, but who we got here today?
My name is Will. No, Will Lehew.
Will Lehew, Mr. Will Lehew from the Just Surprise Me podcast.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have not listened to that podcast, go check it out. Those boys are making some noise.
Do not, I repeat, do not start with the episode entitled "Fuck the Patreon."
Yeah.
Not.
That's pretty good. Well, I mean, you could listen to it, but I'll not to spoil it. But it's funny because you guys have a Patreon. Go support them. Just Surprise Me on Patreon. But they have a Patreon list, and I happen to be on it and supporting the guys over there. And then the bit was, it's like, oh, let's talk about the fuckability or bangability of all the Patreon supporters of your guys' show, which happen to be all dudes. And the hosts of Just Surprise Me happen to be all dudes. Nothing wrong with that. It ended up being a spicy episode. It was good. a lot of detail, and some pretty quick fire answers on that. But I learned
some things.
Yeah,
I learned some things.
And I'm a little bit of a braggart here. I'm like, I think I was the most fuckable one of the Patreons. I'm not marriage material, but getting some double teams.
It always feels good to be the first one picked, huh, Brian?
Yeah, definitely. And I was saying, I'm like, I should clip that like 15-minute segment and then put it on my Tinder profile. Like, hey, listen to this. I got four dudes,
a bunch of fat bald dudes,
a bunch of dudes on the internet like this. They're warm for my form, ladies. If that's not a good appraisal there, but anyways, Will, it's been a while since you've been on. What's new? What's shaking? What is grooving? What is good? What you got for me,
man? In the gear world, I've been on a I don't know what the term is. Yeah, I blow through a lot of gear. Like over the past year and a half or whatever, I would constantly like buying shit and selling it and trading it.
I feel like you're on a drive journey at the moment. It seems like a bunch of new drives.
Yeah, man. So I'm kind of circling back and getting some of the ones that I really liked and putting them in the keeper pile.
Mm-hmm. So ones that you've had and then sold, and now you're coming back and like, you know what, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Now I see. Because it was a lot of trading. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that's the cool thing about this hobby, man. It kind of pays for itself. You know what I mean? Especially for a guy like me, it's kind of a gear nerd. Like, I mean, I'm into, it's fucking dorky, but I golf. And I'm the same way with like golf shit, like clubs, new shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But is that the same kind of deal where like do things kind of? Is there a big trading market in that?
Yeah, regard? Man, there can be. Not as much as gear.
Okay, but, maybe because those things.
A lot of the stores are. It's actually pretty cool. Like you get more money than you would like in like a pawn shop scenario or whatever.
Gotcha. Because like for your trade-in value for it,
right?
Because you're not spending your own money, but maybe you can use some of this to get something. I don't even know like what would be nice gear or clubs or anything. But Brian, our drummer, he golfs, and him and his mother-in-law go. It's like a different thing to nerd out about. Different thing to kind of like relax a little bit. Maybe have a couple bruchachos and hit out on the greens.
It can be a fucking astronomically expensive hobby. Which is what I needed was another expensive hobby.
Yeah, but you get some exercise, so that's better, right?
So sorta.
Yeah. Well, I guess not.
Sitting my big fat ass in a golf cart riding around drinking beer.
Yeah,
Does that count?
Not if you're drinking like a couple PBR pounders.
Yeah.
But I'll still take it. That's still like I'll crush the elliptical for 30 minutes. I'm like, I earned a burrito.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You fat fuck. Anything to justify it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, gear wise, I got I picked up recently the TS7, the tube screamer from the Tone Lock.
Yeah. That's kind of like the gray one. That's kind of like almost a similar form factor to like a Boss pedal, where it has like the
kind of. Yeah.
It doesn't have like
you push the little button, the knobs down or whatever. Yeah, that's if only because it has the hot mode. It's got a little slider switch, and it goes to hot mode. And I mean, all it is, it basically like doubles the gain. But man, it fucking
Hmm.
makes me feel things.
Yeah. Are you
So
a blues junior? Is that or what's the amp of choice for you? I can't remember. Or is
I
it
have
the PV,
like I said,
right?
I'm a bedroom guy, man. I have it's a Laney actually.
Okay, that's what it was. I
A,
just threw everything out there. Actually, wrong, and wrong, Brian.
yeah, but I mean it's very similar. It's the Laney Cub 12,
Yeah.
and it's basically like it's a blues junior with big gigantic hairy balls.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Because it's got
it's got some balls on it.
yeah, it gets nasty, man. But it's cool, man. I like it's a good mix between your British
Mhm.
British amp and your American stuff. Because I don't know, I don't ever play anything at like edge of breakup. Like if it's clean, it's clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then I use the pedals for the dirt or whatever.
Mhm.
But I do
Does it
enjoy
have a
that
dirty
amp because-
channel on it, or?
Yeah, you can crank it. It's one channel, but you can crank the gain, and it'll
Mhm.
it'll get there.
Okay, yeah.
But then you can put a tube screamer in front of it or a treble booster or whatever.
Was it like I think the Fender amps or whatever of that series have a shitty sounding gain? Or is that kind of the same thing, or?
It depends. I had the hot rod back in the day, and yeah, it was okay.
Okay.
I mean, nobody's buying a hot rod deluxe or DeVille for their fucking dirt channel.
Yeah.
But it was all right.
Mhm.
But yeah, I got the tube screamer. I just recently traded Chris from the Effects Loop. I got the JHS Mini Foot.
Okay, yeah.
I just came today. I haven't even plugged it in yet, but the videos look awesome.
Yeah, I don't own any JHS stuff anymore, but they make great shit.
Dude, I've been on a fucking tear with them, man. I got that 3 Series overdrive.
Yeah.
Fucking good. It's so good.
Yeah, I've heard the chorus and the reverb. Adam from the band Hardly Human, he plays like he's like, oh, I just got these. These are like $100 and they're great. I'm like, that sounds awesome. The chorus and the reverb. He's kind of do that. And he's
I want to try them, dude. That fucking overdrive is killer.
I was like asking him like, oh, what's the reverb kind? He's like, I don't know. It's reverb, dude. No, he's kind of the guy. He's like, I don't know. He's kind of more based on how it sounds, which is how it should be. Now like, what is this based off of, and how does the pedal look, and the artwork and shit like that? And it's like just asking the guy. He's like, no, I don't know. It sounds like this, and he clicks on it. It's like that kind of thing. Dude, it's like, what's the bass?
That shit happens to me on rig rundowns.
Uh-huh.
Like who they were doing. I can't remember. I think it was A Perfect Circle, but they were talking to James Eha, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I loved James Eha when I was a kid. Like I fucking loved him. Like I loved the Pumpkins, all that shit. And he's just not a fucking gear guy. Like they were asking him, "What's that?" And he's like, "I don't fucking know." He was like asking the guitar tech, "What is this? Like what's in here? Like the pickups? I don't know."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
I guess,
man."
yeah, sometimes I know what I like, but even at that, in like, sometimes I can get nerdy about it, but I even can get to a point where I'm like, I didn't know that the BB preamp pedal, from Exotic, that orange one.
Right.
I didn't know that was basically a tube screamer. And I was like, I love this pedal. It's awesome. It's super cool. Da, da, da. It's different than a lot of blah, blah, blah. And I'm using it kind of like edge of breakup to push it for more. And then I watched Rhett Scholl's video. It's a fucking tube screamer. Just with bass and treble. I'm like, fuck. I thought I was branching out because I like tube screamers. I like tube screamers. Like they're.
But man, it's an industry that's so fucking, I don't know what the word, I guess incestuous or carnivorous. Like it's just fucking everything is a play on something else. You know what I mean? Like,
and then I'm like,
you had the OD one and then that that was like, then Maxon took that and added a tone knob and made it the tube screamer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not, and it just and then Boss came back and changed the clipping on the SD one, the super overdrive, and that's a fucking tube screamer. It's just
there are some that are, I guess, more unique than others, but it just really depends on how you use them. And for me, I don't, I'm playing punk rock and pop punk and maybe just like pop rock type music. I'm never going to hear those, and I'm never going to be able to showcase the differences in a lot of these things. So I'm like, I don't know, just let me give, like, I'm going to like, I think I've heard like comments of my playing. It's like, oh, he's just fucking just jamming on the fucking strings and just everything is, the same dynamic. There's no dynamic playing. I'm like, oh, you're right. Like you're not gonna
But
hear
I
the
mean,
nuances and shit like that. I'm not a session player because somebody's like, "Ja, ja, 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 ja," and I'm like, even if I'm doing arpeggio stuff, it's everything is like picked as hard as I can because I'm like, I guess I'm super clunky. Even though I think I'm like, dude, I'm super fucking fluid here. I'm like, bang, 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 bang,
I'm like water.
and I'm like, no, you're just like, give me like a cinder block. I could probably play the same thing, the same way.
But I mean, I think that's the weird thing about, I don't know, about this hobby.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's chasing a tone, like a certain sound, and a lot of it is you want to sound like kind of like this guy or kind of like that. But I mean that that person
Yeah,
wasn't really diverse. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how they fucking sounded, and they played the same way with the same exact gear for probably 20, 30 fucking years. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There are very few guitarists I think that like have evolved their tone, I guess.
yeah.
Or with it. I mean, there with a few exceptions, of course, like as far as the real experimental shit. But
I mean, sometimes a lot of players just kind of play with whatever they have and then they just go for it. I was came across a YouTube or not YouTube, Instagram account for the band No Effects. I'm not a huge fan of them. I've seen them a couple times and I'm like, they're punk rock, legacy artists or whatever. And I'm like, I see them and I'm like, okay, that whatever. And then but they have like a gear page. So for their live crew or whatever, they started, just I'm sure it's something fun for them to do on tour. It's just like behind the scenes or whatever. And so he posts, amp rig pics and like pedal board pics. And you watch him or you look at him and it's like, these are like set up so poorly. And it's like just basic, the quote unquote, I think we did a podcast about basic bro gear. So it's just Boss or MXR or maybe TC pedals. That's it. That's all they use. I'm like, they're a giant fucking like headlining punk rock band and they're making money. That's career. That's what they do. And I'm like, and then all the shit is just like cheap cables that you get at, like Guitar Center or whatever.
Right,
so it's not like, it's not the sinusoid, it's not the BTPA nice cables or whatever. It's just like, and then the pedals are like wonky and they're like angled a certain way. They're not even straight. And they're kind of like so much pedal board real estate just not used. Just because they're like, oh, I don't need it, but yeah, hey. And I'm like, what a waste. And then there's just like dirt all over it and just fucking like cables going every which way. That's so disorganized. And they have a power supply that's like, it's not even a clean power. I look at it, the board. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. I think some of these guys just play.
It doesn't fucking matter, dude. And it's like, because I don't know. I feel like,
I mean, they're no slouch with gear either, so they're playing
right.
like
But they go back. You always
Gibsons,
go back
Mesas,
to
or whatever.
when you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the ones that have made it probably made it when they were kids. I mean, maybe they look at it like, well, fuck, this is working. Like, why change it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and even some of the bigger bands like Green Day, even if you really break down their setup, I'm like, yeah, he's playing really expensive like vintage Les Pauls, but it's like, a P90 like Les Paul Jr. into a Hot Rod and Marshall, and then he clicks on a blues driver every once in a while.
right?
And that's the sound of like Green Day. And like you want to break it down, I'm like, yeah, the amp is expensive, like to get it modded, and then the guitar, if you want to get that exact one, it's expensive. But I'm like, it's probably comparable to get like a $1,500 used Les Paul Jr. and then maybe get the exact pickup that he uses. And I'm like, yeah, it's his sound is like, but they're playing giant stages and they have like, let alone a bunch of dummy cabs and a bunch of fucking monitoring and sending to their ears. That is like most people can't get.
That shit confuses the fuck out of me. Like, I don't know how any of that works, man. Like, cause I haven't played, as far as like big shows or I've never played huge shows, but as far as regularly in a band, when I was doing it, you still had the fucking wedge on the stage. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't all the in-ear shit like that. Just
the in-ear stuff. Like, I think we like, we always go back on, on this show talking about shit that like, we'll never do that. No, I am really pushing for the in-ear rig. If we can get that for just in case. I'm like, dude, I really like it.
Oh yeah, I mean it could be. I mean it sounds like it'd be fucking great.
It is.
You could actually hear what the motherfucker on the other side of the stage is playing. Holy shit! Yeah. Like it's like.
But
you just had to guess.
And it's funny because I'm like, oh, more bands nowadays are like, investing in that kind of thing instead of like the big tube amps. They're gonna be like, oh, just give me a fucking HX Stomp, throw it in a rack, and then we're gonna invest in our monitor setup.
Dude, yeah, totally. I remember when I didn't play guitar for like a good decade.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? During my first marriage, like I just didn't play. And I kind of got back into it after I got divorced, and I started running around with some older friends I used to play with and stuff, and I started seeing people
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And, yeah, you had to, yeah. So, I ran into this guy named Simon that I knew back in the day. And he was, when I was a kid, he was like the first one that like showed me like emo music in the early 2000s, and it fucking blew my mind. And he was asking, and I was playing in a band. He was like, "So what's your rig?" And I told him when I had like a half stack or some shit. And he was like, "God, that's fucking huge."
Yeah,
and I was like,
"It's like no, that's what we were supposed to do. That was the the goal line. I reached
that's it, right? Like, yeah, I can afford this shit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah." I
immediately went out and bought like all the shit I wanted when I was fucking 20.
That shit is still awesome, by the way, but it's not super practical. Like 100-watt 4x12. I'm like, it's cool, but you really don't need it.
Right. And why the fuck do I want to carry? I'm fucking 40 years old. Why do I want to carry all that shit up the stairs? I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why?
Yeah.
It's fucking smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But totally.
But yeah, so what's new with you, Brian?
I guess it kind of goes in in line with what we were talking about just now of the monitoring and playing loud amps and stuff like that. And so Brian, our drummer, he moved into his own house now. So he was renting before, so now he's a homeowner. It's very exciting for him. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But we were practicing in his garage at his old place that he was renting, and that was always like we'd pop in every Monday, just super easy, and we do mic drums, direct guitar, direct bass. We have our in-ear rig, and it's neighbors could only hear drums, and he kind of had that place dialed in pretty good, no complaints or whatever. And so, like, we would always play. I'm like, dude, this is great. This is cool. And then, he moved into a new spot, and he doesn't have a garage anymore. So, he eventually wants to work out something where he can, like, build, like, an extra, like, I don't know, kind of like build a garage or whatever in the back and kind of, like, see if he can soundproof and stuff like that.
So how does that work in San Diego? Because, I mean, around here, like, you could get the fucking mini storage shed. You know what I mean? Like it's the fucking local mini store. Some of them have electricity and they don't give a shit as long as you pay your bill.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think he's talked to his realtor about it, and they have plenty of space in their backyard. Like it's a cool spot,
right?
So
that's cool.
I don't know what his plans are, but he's like I want to get it done in a few months. I want to get that going because he wants his own spot for photography, for his office, for music and stuff like that, and just kind of keep it away from the house to not bug the family.
This just popped in my head. Sorry, I'm going to throw this at you. What's the weirdest fucking place you've ever practiced?
We haven't done anything too crazy. I guess we used to. It's not weird because it was cool. Back when we were like in high school, at my parents' place, it was for several years. It was kind of in a transition of like actually getting like renovated. So like they bought like an old house like that had not been touched probably since like the 70s, had the shag, had the wood on the walls, stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
And then it was like, okay, we're renovating it to be like, a 2000 style house. And my dad's like an architect, contractor, but he was like kind of working the whole time. So it's like something would get done and then there'd just be like a bunch of tools in the area that like was going to be a living room. And then eventually like, oh, this is kind of like plasticed off area of the house that like it will eventually be like the next like dining room or whatever.
It sounds like a late 90s music video.
Yeah. Anyway, so he'd be like, well, this room is not getting used because of like I don't have time or whatever to deal with this. So like, oh, you guys can just play here. There is power to this room. So we would just practice in that room. So imagine just like drywall, nothing, like no paint or anything, just like cement floors and just power tools everywhere. We'd practice there.
That's pretty fucking metal, dude.
It was rad. I loved the shit out of it. And then like when they redid the house, I'm like, oh, I guess good, but then we ended up going to like a rehearsal space at that point. But that was probably the weirdest, but it was not weird to me. But when you like look back on it, it's like an unfinished house that would like you'd come there every couple days after school and play. It was like
That's
probably like
badass.
16 years old or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Hell yeah, that's cool.
But what about you?
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm sure there's like
All
basements
right.
and like
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
We fucking. I had an apartment one time where we would practice in the bedroom of a fucking
No
apartment.
way.
Like, and nobody ever fucking complained.
I'm sure
dude.
you would have gotten
This is
fucking
this is a college town, right?
yeah.
And so these were right across the street from campus, and nobody ever fucking said anything. They would just be like, "Sounding good, guys." You know what I mean? Like,
Well, that's
nobody
cool.
ever
I'm sure.
fucking-
I'm sure it's not
Yeah.
like super gnarly because I'm sure they're just fucking like, oh, I'm just gonna like maybe watch TV and maybe smoke a blunt or whatever, and I can just turn my TV up
well,
louder or
everybody
whatever.
was always fucking stoned.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
But
like,
we,
I just got my
when I was in
fucking
high school,
yeah.
man, we practiced in my buddy's living room, right?
Yeah,
His dad was a drummer in the 70s.
yeah,
So he was all about us playing. Like, you guys can play here whenever the fuck you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just, And he worked nights, so he slept during the day. And we'd be jamming in the living room while like Mr. Grigsby's in there asleep.
yeah.
And he never said anything. Like, he just wore earplugs and slept. But the fucking dog, like, they had a wiener dog, and
Oh.
the dog would start barking, and for some reason that would send him into fucking like DEFCON 1 meltdown. Like, he'd come out and goddamn dog,
Yeah.
like screaming at this dog. We're like, dude, it's a fucking band like playing in your living room, and you're mad at the wiener dog.
See,
the fuck?
to me, I would be like, you guys are making him upset. You guys gotta leave.
I forgot you're a
Yeah, when
I forgot you're a wiener dog guy.
wiener dog guy, Herman, RIP in peace. But yeah, I'd be like, don't make him upset. I don't care about my well-being. I care about the dogs. But
No, Mr. Grigsby did not give a fuck about that dog.
Yeah.
He hated that dog.
oh, I'm sure he was a great dog. But
That dog he was a grumpy old bastard.
hey, that's the best ones. Just like me. But we practiced this week and we did a rental space, like kind of rent by the hour kind of deal, which was really
Right.
cool. And then like, I don't know, like to me, I'm like, this would have been way cooler like when, I don't know, maybe like 5-10 years ago or whatever, before we got spoiled by the in-ear setup that we do now. Because well, this space is like so random and I didn't even know where the hell it was. And then, I guess Adam and Brian had been there before back in the day when they used to practice. It was like in this industrial kind of park area. So there's a brewery
Right.
and there's like, auto repair and all this shit or whatever in this area of San Diego. And then there's this random little house. It's like, apparently, I guess it used to be like kind of like a studio, kind of like think of a studio apartment, where it's just like here's a room that kind of leads into like it turns into a kitchen. There's a bathroom, and then there you go.
Right.
Somebody owns this, and he turned it into a rehearsal space. It's just one house, little mini house. In it,
So you just like in each bedroom or whatever? Or
no,
just in the
it's
room?
there's no bedroom because it's just like a studio, kind of like apartment setup, but it's a house, single house. And he turned it into like a band rehearsal space by the hour.
God, that's fucking brilliant.
It's
dude.
pretty cool because I'm like, you go there, I'm like, you have your own private fridge, microwave, bathroom, shower, I guess if you really needed to. And it's
You never know, man.
like playing in a living room again. It's like reminded me, I'm like, this is like playing in my house back when I was a kid. And they have, amps there. So they have, Marshall HDFX,
Right.
412 rig, half stack.
Right.
And then they have a twin, solid state twin kind of deal. And then they have an Ampeg 410 cab with like Hartkey 500 watt power amp thing for your bass. And then they have like,
So I mean, like everything to go in and get it done.
yeah,
huh?
pretty much in the power, PA and all that stuff. And so you basically kind of go in and then I'm like, oh, okay, I have my pedal board so my bass tone, I can kind of get it to where I want. And then Adam brought his own head to put on the cab, get the HDFX. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but kind of it's not the best amp, And then drums, just play like a Gretsch kit or whatever and bring your own cymbals and snare. And then so we played that, but we didn't have any in-ears. It's just like playing with earplugs again. And I'm like, wow, this is really different. Like to be heard or to feel like yourself play, like I had to turn it up. So it's like playing with loud amps again. So we had to kind of get back into like, oh, well, make sure nobody's louder than the other person. And then we had to like make sure we could still hear drums and then vocals. I'm like, good luck. Still couldn't hear those.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard vocals in a band rehearsal ever.
And yeah, it was weird because like we used to hear them back at Brian's place. I'm like, well, it'll be a while till we get back to that. But it like playing loud amps is cool actually, because it's been a while since I've done that. I'm like just playing a 500 watt like just amp, and it's like, okay, I'm cranking that shit up over. Like I'm at 1:00. I'm just like boom, 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 and I'm like I'm shaking the floor. I'm like, oh yeah, that's loud bass again. I'm like, yeah. I remember that because I haven't done that in a while, and that nothing wrong with like either way. But I'm like, I'm just so used to playing like just like a cool bass sound that I'm like, oh, it's going XLR out into our in ears. I'm like, this is great. We're leveled to everything, but I'm not shaking the bass or anything. I've heard people that like it's tough for them to not play with like the amp shaking, like for bass, like you got to feel the bass. I'm like, no.
I don't even remember what that's like. Like I cranked my little 15 watt Laney the other day, and it was like, because my wife's been out of town.
Oh yeah.
The youngest is in school now, so nobody was home, and it was like noon, and I was like, fuck it. Like, it's getting loud. Yeah. It just dimed everything out.
I like that. Great. I haven't done that, like, because everything, if I do play my tube amps, I'm just going through my 2-note setup, and I'm like,
right.
Yeah, I need to get that going again. I do have, I still have a 412 cabinet, so I might have to, like, get one of my guitar amps and just play it loud, but yeah, so to me, I'm like, it was cool. I guess like we've been so just into the in-ear thing that like playing loud again. I'm like, oh, this is actually cool. I'm like, but we're all looking at each other. I wish I could hear each other, but like,
you know what that is? It's fucking age, bro.
Yeah,
that is maturity.
Yeah, because Adam has like I think 150 watt guitar head. And then like sometimes like he has to turn it way down. It has like
what is it?
The Carbon V3, I think.
Okay.
And so it has like tube settings or like to where you can like cut the tubes and like bring it down to like whatever. So
yeah,
it's you can bring it down, but it can go up to 150 watts. And I'm like, damn, dude,
what the fuck would you ever need?
I don't know. That's like the
in what scenario would that fucking be?
That's the 2000s, late 2000s, where it's like everything's got to be big. I think it's probably mid 2000s, early 2000s, where like Marshall was putting out like a solid state amp, but it was like 300, 400 watts or something like that. It's like, why did you need that? And then like Ampeg, fucking 1200 watt head. Why?
Yeah. Fucking Randall did that with all the dime bag shit.
Oh yeah, like 200 watt heads and shit like that.
Yeah, the warheads or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you don't.
I remember that back in the day.
Yeah, you don't need that. You won't ever need that.
No.
And
no.
500 watts for bass is like if it's coming from, it's fine. Like I will use it. And like at this practice, I'm like, I didn't have any DI or nobody could hear me, so I was like, I'm gonna get it up a little bit. And then so it was like sometimes we were like, I'm locking in with Brian and I'm shaking the floor. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, actually. Like, it's like it's like when the drummer gives you that look, that's how you're doing good. Brian pulls his glasses down. It's like, hey, I like that. What you doing on the bass there? I've been trying to like add more to bass, like of like chords, because I'm like, oh, we recorded the album and there's like guitar dubs, vocal dubs, and stuff like that. But I'm like, oh, if we can have certain parts where I'm like, all I do is just add the fifth, to a chord and just like let it like boom, and then it's like the other guys are like, yeah, that's sick. I'm like, I did nothing but just play a power chord on bass. They're like, oh man, when you do that like kind of walking bass line or whatever, I'm like, I'm not playing a walking bass line. I'm just going between the root and the fifth. They're like, and I'm like, they're like, well, that adds to it, so keep it up, man. It's kind of like
just do that.
Kind of like almost like the just adding a little bit of like flair on bass can make a difference. Or if you do too much, you're like, just fucking we're not in ska band here, bro.
So are you the, would you, I mean, without tooting your own horn, but would you consider yourself the most advanced musician in the group?
I think I'm the least, actually, which is awesome.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I've always been the least. Like I'm not
I
like musically educated at all,
mhm.
and
I would
but
say,
it's always so fucking intimidating when you play with a guy that's like, no, it's the fifth minor root,
yeah, no.
Baloxodidian.
I think with Plane, I kind of felt,
Is that the fifth fret, bro?
yeah. I think with Plane, I felt like I was like the least talented. Kyle has like a lot less, you put like music theory behind it because he's more of a natural talent, which is like, the guys
Right.
that you fucking hate. That you're like,
Right,
oh, you
yeah.
can just sing and you know when you're on and off. And I'm like, fuck, okay. You instead of me where I just throw spaghetti at the wall, like, yeah, that note was
Right.
good. Like, which one? This one. And like I can get there, and I don't get too adventurous with my singing. And then playing, I kind of want to like, I have a direction of where I want to go, but I do like try a lot of things either on my own or at practice. But it's not like I'm not super like, oh, like here's a fucking just like start improving or whatever. Like no. And then I think Brian's a great singer he's a drummer. So that's like cool
that's so
and
weird, man.
intimidating at the same time because I'm like,
Yeah.
his drumming technique that he plays it's really smooth, and it's like he's not because like he's coming into his late 30s and he's not like a kid. He's like, oh, I want to break my drums. He's like, no, this is an investment. I like it, and I understand that like how mics and drums work. I don't have to beat the fucking
Yeah.
shit out of it. So when he plays, like sometimes he'll do like really fast movements, and he's just like you see his hands just like, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and yeah.
And then he's singing
man.
too. There's like a
How the fuck? So he plays. It's like it's punk music still,
Mhm.
right?
there's like a
How the fuck does he play drums and sing?
I don't know.
Punk
There's
rock?
a part I was listening to something that we've recorded. We've played it live, and then I was like, like listening to it again because I think I was listening to like the new album or EP that we posted, but I'm like, oh, it kind of caught on to like the single that we did, which was True to This. There's like a bridge part, and it sounds super complex. Maybe I'm just not a drummer, so it's like he's doing like a lot of like double bass kind of stuff, but he's like keeping time with like a hi-hat, but he's like kind of every once in a while. I don't think he's doing double bass, but it's just a single kick flam where he's like, and tom work where he's like, and he's also hitting like the quarters on the ride, and then he's also singing, we keep true to this, we keep true to this. But I'm like, what are you doing?
Nah, dog, this shit ain't human, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool because I think it's a lot of just like a lot of feel because he's like singing and he's been doing that shit forever, and then he's like does a lot of hip hop shit and beats stuff like that. So he kind of can feel like for him it might just be natural that he's like, oh, it's the beat they hit to feel, and then I'm now singing over it. It's weird. It's something that I'm like you had asked. I think I'm the worst in the band as far as music theory. Adam is way above. Like he plays sax, and I think he took classes and he played jazz and stuff like that. And he does do some, like he gets paid to play, sax in bands and like filling in for sessions and shit like that. To where he knows, like he's like, oh yeah, no, so I'm gonna add the seventh. I'm like, the what?
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, what you probably want to do is like jump to the third instead of the. I'm like doing the audio edit, the work on it, and I'm like, I see him telling Brian what to do. I'm like, oh, you guys know what they're talking about? Okay.
You just gotta own it, dude. Just be like, tell me frets.
Yeah.
Where?
You guys like this? I have the screen monitor on the TV. That's pretty cool, right? You guys like that headphone mix? I could do that for you and change it. So, but I don't know. I think I've heard people say that it's always good to attach yourself to like I don't know, musicians who are better than you. And I'm
True.
not I'm humbled enough to say that, or I don't have enough that harmful pride where I'm like, oh, I'm the best of everybody for me. But I don't mind playing with people who are way better than me or better than me or whatever.
So long as they're not dickheads, because especially when you're starting, because that can be really fucking discouraging.
Oh, totally,
you know
totally,
what I mean?
totally.
Like if somebody's just a fucking asshole
Yeah.
about being way better
And
than you.
I don't know. I think it may have just been by playing so long or that people know me. It's like I think in San Diego that people like at least give me that respect that I'm like, oh well, I never get talked down to.
Right.
It could also be just that the people I'm playing with are all adults. Yeah, I'm not
Right.
playing with any 19, 20-year-olds or whatever, even though they're legally adults, but they're like still have like that kind of like
Right. And that's
mindset of like, we're
yeah.
gonna hit on it big on MTV or whatever. We're gonna get that record deal. I'm like, those
Yeah, and
deals don't exist.
We've talked about this on Just Surprise Me before, but like that's totally why I never liked fucking skateboard kids, like skaters.
Mhm.
Like I tried and I sucked at it. And then they're fucking brutal. You know what I mean? If you're shitty, they're just like fucking,
Yeah.
they would just talk all kind of shit.
There's a
I'm like,
gatekeepery kind of mindset
yeah,
to it, which I don't know. Any of that, I don't think I've felt that in a long time. It could be just because of the circles that I'm in and playing punk rock or whatever. And just maybe the older I get, I'm in like older punk rock scenes or even music scenes or whatever. I haven't felt like that shut out yet. Maybe because I'm also in San Diego. If I were to go somewhere else and then try and start a band or join bands, I'm sure it would be different. People would be like,
so is there like where you're at? Is there like an older guy scene? Because I feel that's one of the things that keeps me away from wanting to play shows and shit, dudes. Because like I'm fucking 40, man. I'm not gonna go to the same bars I played in when I was 22.
you can still go to the same bars. There's going to be anybody from 21 to probably in their 60s. It just depends on if you go to like a punk rock show. There's going to be the same amount of people. So that's what I like about San Diego. And people say like, oh, it's so hard to get. I'm like, it's actually maybe because it's really inclusive. You can just be anybody. And then and it's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Like, I mean, if you're going to like, all ages clubs, I think because you're trying to like, you're playing with teenagers. At that point, you're like, I can't. We were thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I don't think we'll ever play like the all ages clubs again. Because I'm like, why? Unless we were getting paid and on a bill, like it just be like, this is complete. Like I feel like I'm fucking 33 years old, and the other guys in my band are 39 years old. I'm like, we're not gonna play for children.
no fucking business in there because I couldn't help it, man. I got I've got teenage daughters. I know I'd be like, young lady. Like one of those kids, I'd be like, what are you wearing? Go home.
You go and you're about ready to hit the stage, and then it goes black, and then Chris Hansen walks on. Have a seat. What are you doing? What are you doing here?
Yeah. Not that. Yeah.
Like, I was gonna play a show.
I was just trying to play.
What do you mean by show?
And then you try to run out the fucking door.
And the cops get you. That's pretty good. It's always I always like that bit of just like, what are you doing here? Sit down. Why don't you have a seat?
Yeah. I was just delivering a pizza.
He's got pizza and beer, huh?
It had nothing to do with the naked 14-year-old.
Oh god. But yeah, anyway, that's I guess long what's new. But yeah, just actually playing again in a different way. So we were doing weekly practices, and we took a couple weeks off because Brian gets settled in, which I haven't moved in a long time, but moving like
fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah, when like that's what Brian was saying. Since I haven't moved in a while, Brian's like, yeah, no, you're physically there, but you're not settled yet, and like that sucks.
Right. That's the worst, dude. When we moved in,
where is my shit that I put? I put it in some random box.
We bought my house a year ago now, and the night we moved in, I woke up at fucking 3 a.m, sick as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I had COVID, and my wife had to do all that shit like by herself, like the fucking unpacking, settling in stuff.
It's like, you're like, damn, that sucks. I'm gonna play PlayStation.
Yeah, nah, dude. Maybe after like day 5, I was ready to play some PlayStation, but those first few days were fucking terrible.
Yeah,
I was up there. I'm up there googling shit and planning my funeral because I know I'm gonna die.
I'm a Will's will. I'm gonna get that going.
I want this song and this song.
Like, I'm gonna pass on my my Cub 40 or whatever. I'm gonna pass on my PV pedals and shit.
Yeah, here's my '93 Mexican Strat.
It's missing a string. Like I was planning on replacing that, but this is going to you. It's all just dusty and just like missing strings. It's got the string that it's like where it's unclipped still. It's like planning on cutting that, but you may want to save that. But anyways, yeah. So that was kind of what's new. Along like rambly, we riffing here. Let's do maybe a topic or two, just depending on time here.
All right.
Okay, so I was thinking about this one here. I think I saw it somewhere or whatever. But sleeper gear, like gear that like I don't know, a lot of people like overlook or think don't think twice about or whatever. They're like, that's a piece of shit. Anyways, what comes to mind for you? Or maybe if you have personal experience. For me, I have secondhand experience on one of mine.
The two that really pop into my head, man, or three. There's three, and I'll be quick, I promise.
Oh no, it's good.
If you're looking for like that rockabilly slapback echo, you know what I mean, like that kind of sound, the Dano Fab Echo.
Okay.
It's like you can get it for like $10 or $15 or whatever. It sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah, is that the one?
That's all it does. The little plastic ones that are weird with the nozzle on the top.
Yeah, is that the one?
Yeah.
Where like does it have a foot switch, or is it the one that has like a kind of the boss style kind of clamshell looking stomp part?
No, it's a foot switch.
Okay.
It's like the little black plastic and
it's plastic, so it's good.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
It's built to last. Yeah, I think I heard a lot of Dan Electro stuff. There's definitely hit or miss with some of those pedals. It's like, this is great, or this is a piece of fucking trash. Shit.
Yeah.
Like distortion and drive of their pedals are like, miss those. You can just fucking miss them.
Yeah. That Fab Echo is fucking great, dude. It only does that one thing, but it does it really well.
Yeah. And then sometimes with effects, and especially if you're playing, that's all they're going to do anyways. People think like, well, these pedals can do all this and all this and all this. I'm like, well, can you use that live? Well, no.
Yeah.
But it does all those things. I'm like, but can it do it while you're playing? No.
But see, man, those pedals are made for motherfuckers like me that just sit up in their bedroom and fucking fiddle with shit. You know what I mean? That's when that's cool.
Yeah. That's what I think of, like a pedal that I played and I really, really dug. But like, which one was it? It's the Source Audio, the Reverb, and the Collider. RJ had it. I borrowed it. I'm like, this is an awesome fucking pedal, but I'll really never dive into it.
Yeah, I owned that.
I dug it. I'm like, this is great. It's cool, but and then even the Boss DD500, great fucking delay, awesome. And I only really used 4 or 5 sounds.
Right.
It's kind of cool because I could switch and have like different ones for part of the set. And I'm like, this isn't worth me keeping. And then I just use a Carbon Copy Deluxe. I'm like, oh, this is it's fine. Because I'm like, nobody's really, well, you don't have really staccato slap delays and they're not going stereo. So where is that? I'm like, nobody cares. So some of the pedals that do one good thing and then like, just fucking gives a shit.
The fucking, that number 2 is the DoD Phaser 201.
Okay.
Phasor.
Is it similar to the one knob deal like Phase 90?
Yes, it is actually, from what I think, and the guys that know what they're talking about more than me can clarify, but I believe it is a variant, if not an exact clone of the Phase 45.
Okay, so kind of like the so it's not as extreme or as many of phase settings or whatever. I know it's one knob, but they're like, well, it has like these variances of phase. I'm like, I don't know, you turn it up or you fucking leave it down. Faster or slower? It
hits the sweet spot for me, man. It's probably my favorite pedal. Like, definitely my favorite modulation pedal. But
awesome, phaser. I have one of my phasers. I might take it off the market. I don't know. I put it on reverb this week. So I'm like, I'm never using it. I have a Phase 95, which is like the mini guy. I put my Whirlwind Orange Box phaser on reverb. I priced it high because I'm like, okay, because I know people are gonna lowball your ass. And I got like a bunch of followers.
Guilty.
But a bunch of followers on there. And I am thinking, I'm like, I should just keep it. I love the fuck out of that pedal. I should just keep it. And I'm like, but I don't use it. I don't, but I love it. So shit, I'm completely torn by like, my brain and my heart are tearing me apart. Because I love the shit out of that pedal. And it's like the hand wired kind of like, it's supposed to be like the closest representation of like the old script MXRs. Because it's all hand wired and shit like that. It's just a really dumb looking box.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, actually.
and that's awesome. God damn. And then I'm like, well, I wouldn't use it. I'm like, well, I could use it for recording, but I'm like, no, I'm using my fractal for recording anyways. I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I should probably just keep it. But
Bro, just fucking sell it,
uh,
and you can always buy another one. That's the cool thing about,
nah,
mass production.
yeah.
There are
I mean,
more.
they don't make them anymore, but I don't know. Like now, I'm just trying to justify it.
I
And
hear
the thing
you.
is,
I hear you.
I guess I really don't need the money. Obviously, you could always use money to pay off bills or whatever, but I'm like, not hurting. So I was just looking at
Right.
like, oh, more shit to get rid of. If anything, I might get rid of my Jazz Master. I was playing guitar today,
Okay.
and I was like, oh, I gotta force myself to play the Jazz Master. I'm like, played a couple like ideas. I'm like, you know what would be great right now? Unplug the guitar, my Equids. Click. Then
Yeah.
I played that bitch. I'm like, yes. I was telling Kevin, I'm like, oh, thanks for the shirt. Da, 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 da. And he's like, oh man, you know. I think he's like, oh, thanks for just saying good words or whatever about the the guitars I make. I'm like, dude, you make great guitars. It's honestly like if my other guitars I could sell them, I probably would sell some of them because I only am playing that fucking Equids.
I'm excited. He contacted me, and I'm up like relatively soon, like first of the next year.
Yeah, you got to get that fat neck.
Oh yeah, dude, that's my shit. I'm just gonna take him my 71 SG
Uh-huh.
and just be like, just do this.
I
Like,
I highly
this is what I like.
I would say get the profile that Blake Wyland and I have.
Yeah.
So we both have Rayburns. He had one that was a demo guitar for a while, and then he bought it. It's a like Kevin's like, oh, it's just a really fat neck, and I'm like, some people think it's uncomfortable, and I play it. I'm like, oh, it's not like wildly huge, but it's bigger than my other
Right.
guitars. I'm like, dude, and I kind of just threw shit at him. I'm like, yeah, just put that neck on it.
Right.
And I was like, the whole time he was building, I'm like, fuck, what if it's too big? Ah, shit.
Dude,
But he could always, he's like,
I love
you can
that.
always cut it down. And then when I got it, I'm like, this is it. This is the one.
Yeah, I love the big fat ones, man.
But yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, you're close to him, right?
Yeah, dude, he's local now, so it'll be cool. I'm hoping like I can actually go like watch him do it, and maybe like he can show me some shit.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh man. That's-
I've thought about, because I need like my SG needs frets, right? And I've thought about asking if I could maybe pay him for adult supervision,
yeah.
so he could. I want to do it, like I want to learn how to do
Mm-hmm.
it, but I would like somebody that knows it, so I don't fuck up. Yeah,
Yeah.
40-year-old Gibson.
Yeah, that'd be rad. I want to be able to start doing that shit, but I'm like, I guess you can only learn by doing. So I guess one of my guitars, I would have to like try and put new frets in.
Just buy a fucking. I've thought about, because I've got parts and shit where I fuck around all the time. So like I thought about just trying to do frets and
Yeah, like buy
an
like
old
a
neck.
cheap Squire neck or something like that, or just like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing's broken. Okay, let me try and fuck around with it.
Yeah, I can do, like I've done like a recrown and all that shit, the dressing on the the ends
Mm-hmm.
and everything else. But I've never like actually installed new frets.
Hmm.
It doesn't look hard.
Yeah, I guess I'm the opposite. It looks like I have no idea how to do it. It's all I think a lot of it. And then Kevin says too. I think he was on Gear Slum way back in the day. He said, yeah, it really takes like tools. What he said something about like I'm probably butchering it. It's like tools, time, and templates. And then it was one of the guys. I
Yeah.
think it was Phil. He's like, I thought you were gonna say talent. You never said talent in there at all. The 3 T's for building guitars. Like, no, you can really just kind of follow it if you do the correct routing. And if you have the correct
Yeah.
tools, I'm like, you're able to do it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. It's like, I mean, obviously it takes talent to design, to do, and the skill and the hand-eye coordination, but it's like, Kevin's a killer dude to kind of like really break that down to be like, no, this is what it is if you really wanted to do it.
Well, I mean, it's math.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's geometry.
Yeah.
For the most part, I would think. I mean, I don't fucking build guitars, but
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, like, I think it's the either weekly or, at least monthly gushing about Equid. I was playing forced myself to play my Jazz Master, and then I just put it back on the hanger, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me grab that fucking purple fucking guitar over here.
that thing is fucking sick, dude.
I love it. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna pop in with one of my sleepers. It's a secondhand kind of a experience here. Coach Schneider, friend of the show, Flippers. You know him, you love him. He's got what is this like PV Bravo 1x12, 25 watt, I think EL84 combo amp. That thing is so fucking good. It's awesome. I think the stock speaker in it is some PV thing. It's not the best. It's kind of like if you threw in V30 UK made Celestion, you'd be fucking like happier than a pig in shit. It's the drive channel on it. The drive channel is fucking killer. I was like, whoa, dude, it's like punk sounding. I don't know if it gets to metal territory, but throw that and just a little booster tube screamer in front of it, dude. You could record that, and that's stage ready. 25 watts, come on. And then the clean channel is great. Yeah. It's a great pedal platform. He was talking about it. I'm like, oh, it's cool because I'm playing your I'm gonna take that back. I didn't let him. I asked him if I could store my 4x12 at his place for like a year and a half. And then
can you just have this but not have it?
Yeah, no, he was stoked because he was like, oh, because he was sending me a picture. I'm like, I'm putting my PV Bravo through it instead of his the in cab speaker. Right. He was playing it out of the 412. He's like, sounds great. I'm like, yeah, fucking, I'm sure it does. Fucking piece of shit. You fucking disrespecting my goddamn orange. And then I went over there and played it. I guess I had thought it was a Bandit. The Bandit amps were from the 90s PV. They had the 1x12 like 50 watt Bandit or whatever.
I'm familiar, dude. That fucking that thing's badass. Like the distortion on that amp.
Yeah, I always heard they were great. But I was never really like, oh, I'm gonna try that. I need to try a solid state PV. Because I'm like, why? I have tube amps. I have a fractal. I'm like, okay, I'm sure it sounds good. And then I didn't know the Bravo because I always thought Bravo Bandit, and I mistook it. I mistook it for what it was, and then he played it. I'm like, and I went over to his place, and I was like, "Are you shitting me? This amp is awesome. This looks like I thought it was a cheap, like little practice piece of shit, but it sounds awesome." He was like kind of stoked. He was like, because I would not stop talking about how awesome the thing was. I'm like, dude, this sounds great. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, play this at shows. Bring this into a studio and record it. I'm like, I actually liked it better than the Benson he had. I'm like, I was so stoked. I'm like, this is killer. I'm like, oh my God, the drive section is killer. It sounds so awesome. Dude,
they did it.
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever played the Windsor?
No, but I heard those are great too. It's kind of like a cheap.
It's a
cheap Marshall.
Yeah, it's a 900.
Yeah,
it's a JSM 900. And it's fucking. They're like I bought one at a pawn shop for $150, dude. They're fucking great.
Yeah, that's those old like 90s PV shit. Like those are sleepers for sure. You got to get on those. And even for bass too. I know Johnny, sings the praises, but I'm like the PV Bravo. I don't raise the prices, but because I want to get one eventually. But I'm like, I don't need it. But I'm like, I was like so stoked. I'm like, this amp is fucking sick. And he was like, oh, it's got a little crackling on like, some of the pots. I'm like, clean them, take it somewhere. I'm like, if you dump like maybe like $150 into this, maybe get a new speaker, then like, this is the ultimate sleeper amp. Those PV Bravos.
Yeah, it looks like they're sitting around, they're hovering around like 450.
Yeah.
4 to 450 right
now. Dude, the clean is great. The distortion is great. Dude, I don't know what the hell they did and why those aren't popular, but holy shit, I want to get one, but I don't need it. If they made a head version.
Here's an unpopular opinion, Brian. I honestly, I feel like sometimes, if not most of the time, I prefer solid state clean.
Okay.
Like the jazz chorus or like the PV. I had an old trainer from the fucking late 70s.
Yeah.
That was solid state that sounded fucking amazing.
I heard that, especially with the PV stuff, with the the trainer again. And then fucking what else was it? The Sun stuff. Like
the only Sun amp I've ever owned and was the Beta Lead.
Yeah, I heard that. It's good. No?
Yeah, the clean was okay. But the distortions on the amp is so fucking awesome, dude. It's oh my god.
I think I got
it is so loud.
I got a buddy he's a metal guy, He's got a bunch of Sun shit. He's got the beta bass, beta lead, and
Yeah.
like he's just like, it's awesome. But he's like these amps are killer, and you can get them for super cheap. The cabs are super big, so don't get those. But the heads.
I had a Sun 2x12 that was perfect, and then the beta lead was badass.
I think they do 15s and shit like that too, like 215s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, besides break your back, you know? My buddy lives, I think, in an apartment. He's like, yeah, I can't do a fucking wall of amps.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that I don't have the room because I know how I am, and it would be fucking out of control, dude. I would have
got room in the garage, dude. Come on,
I don't, man. I park my car in the garage,
get
bro.
the car in the fucking street. Who cares?
I need to
let the environment take it over.
Yeah. Fucking life after people.
Yeah. But I don't know, the solid state stuff. I don't like I'm not shitting on it, but it's just I don't honestly need it. And even I'm saying that Bravo, I'm like, man, that was like, I was blown away. Ko was like stoked. He's like, man, I'm stoked that you're stoked. Man, this is making me good. He's like, I need another beer. This is great. I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing. I'm like, he's like, oh, I got my custom Benz. I'm like, get that shit out of the way. Get the fucking Bravo, dude.
Hand me that little bastard. Plug it up.
It's awesome. If Ko, you got a great amp there. Like that's so cool. I would, yeah. So I don't know. Like, and I do think about getting a solid state amp, just to have one, just to play and understand how pedals work with it, and interact.
Dude, they make the Jazz Chorus in a 22. Like it's small. It's got 210s. It's like a practice. Like it's made for that.
Yeah, I think even just like with. I was thinking about a head just because I'm like where I'm going now. I don't need more combos, but
right.
I was even because stay on brand, stay on target. I was gonna keep with Orange. They're coming out with a new Orange Crush head, and I'm like,
hey, that CR120 is phenomenal.
It's just like a revamped version of that has like I think an XLR out, and then maybe a little bit different controls and amp design to make it look more like the 70s Orange. They're coming out with that, and I think it's like under $500, $400 maybe for the head. Okay. And I was thinking, I could get that for a clean, because I heard the cleans on it are pretty good.
Yeah, that amp was great.
120 watt like clean amp. That'd be kind of nice to have. I'm like,
yeah.
And then I'm torn between. I'm like, I'm selling shit and trying to get rid of it because I'm not using it. But I'm like, I should maybe buy that because my dumbass. Yeah. For the channel. I mean, what for the 200 subscribers? Which subscribe. Hit that bell. But I'm like, I don't know, just kind of like the idea because you get a lot of, I don't know. Sometimes people in the comments like, well, what are you playing out of? I'm like, I'm playing out of a fractal. I'm like, people don't have fractals. I'm like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, dude. Like, people do have fractals.
And then I'm like, people listening, like, oh, I'm playing out of an Orange AD15. Such a niche amp. Nobody has that. Why don't you get something that people, I'm like, because I'm not doing that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not getting paid to do this.
Yeah, because I'm having fun in my bedroom. Fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you see I'm in my fucking bedroom, not in a studio?
Yeah.
Don't you see the fucking clothes hamper there, dickhead?
Because I want to play with my guitars on TV, asshole.
Yeah.
That's why.
But it's funny. So I always just think, I'm like, man, maybe a solid state amp would be kind of cool to have around. But did you have one more?
No, dude, what was I gonna say?
I don't know. We're just off track. We're just getting off the rails.
Dude,
I'm on my second Truly, dude. I'm fucking on it.
Yeah, I've been slamming some brewskis over here too, more than I intended.
What are you drinking? Oh, that's a JSM thing. What are you drinking tonight, everybody? Let's talk about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm drinking the Yeehaw Dunkel. It's a local brewery in Johnson City.
Okay. Yeah.
Tennessee. It's good. Yeehaw beer.
Johnson. Yeah. Johnsonville Brats. There we go.
Oh, Dick City.
Yeah. Got the Hogaroos on the loose.
Yeah. But yeah, man, as far as sleeper stuff goes, the phaser's my main one, dude. I think I mean, I don't guess you really call it a sleeper. I really fucking enjoyed the J Mascis Jazzmaster when I had it.
I would say that's probably super popular, but
Right. Probably not sleeper.
but it's rad, worth mentioning.
Definitely cheap. Yeah.
Really? I thought it was
That's like $400.
was it a Squire one? I thought they had the.
Yeah, it's a Squire.
Oh
They-
no,
they
I'm
have
totally
one like
I'm totally in my head, dumbass. Here, burn me. I'm thinking of the Troy Van Leeuwen. I thought
yeah.
Jazz Master, thinking like, oh yeah, I think that thing was like $1,100 used. Like that ain't cheap.
No,
Damn, Will, you fucking making this
Nah, dude.
money bags over there.
dude.
Just fucking Scrooge
I
McDuck
fucking,
when you get off work. You just like into the coins.
Hell yeah. I wish I could.
Yeah,
Man.
but
No, the most expensive guitar I own is that Gibson, and that it's like fucking roached. Like it's fucking destroyed.
well,
It's just like shitty condition. That's the only way I could have ever afforded
you still have
it.
that
And
Ibanez
that-
Talman, right?
Yeah, that okay. That's it. That's my
I would say that,
fucking,
and like
the Tallman.
that thing looks badass. That and like you were onto that one for a while. I'm like, that thing is so
That
fucking
was-
sick.
Dude, when I fucking it's because when I started playing guitar, they had just dropped.
Yeah.
Like late 90s, 96, 97 or whatever. And I thought they were so fucking cool because they were weird shaped and a lot of them were sparkly.
Yeah.
And the dude from this fucking, I don't even know why I remember this band, dude. There was an industrial band in the late 90s called Stabbing Westward.
Yeah. I think even Sum 41 was playing them back in like early 2000s.
Really?
Yeah. It's
the Noodles from the. He still has one
he's got a signature one.
from Offspring. Yeah,
And then
he still plays
Yvette
them.
Young has a really cool one, that fucking like
Oh, that green
Slimer
one, dude. God damn
green
it.
one.
It's so fucking cool, dude.
I think it's really cool that it's like, oh, like I don't know like why they didn't push that more until maybe they're coming back with it more retro-y kind of deal. But I'm like, that's like this
I don't know. The
telly-
new Tallmans are trash.
Oh
Dude.
really? Because they got the fucking
Yeah, they suck.
they can put them in telly format or Strat
Yeah.
or like just the P90 humbucker or whatever.
I'm just not a fan of the new shit.
Yeah, you gotta get the old shit.
But I mean, and I'm not normally like that. I mean, realistically, the fucking old ones aren't even wood. It's like a resin. What's it called, resin core or resin
Oh, shit.
cast or some
Okay.
shit like that. Yeah, it's like the old Sonics, the old Gibson Sonics
Maybe
guitars. It's like it's not wood. I don't know what it is.
maybe they got a little
Wood.
bit of magic in that. But
They're fucking great, dude. I put TV Jones Classics in mine, and you know who has a fucking Tallman just like mine?
who?
Kevin Equitz.
There you go. You guys are
He has one that he bought like in the late 90s that he's had forever.
yeah.
We were talking and he showed me, he's like, oh, you like Tallmans? And he showed me a picture and I was like, and I took a picture of mine and now he was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been like, I don't need any more guitars because, like I said, I'm maybe thinking about getting rid of my Jazz Master. But I'm like, those are guitars I always look at. Like, oh man, it'd be kind of cool to have one. I don't fucking need it. God damn it, I don't need it.
But they're fucking cheap, dude, and they're fun.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I paid like, I don't even remember, dude, like $319.
yeah,
Because it's the cheapest one, the 420, I
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah. But
and then I think, yeah, I don't know. This is dumb. I'm no,
430.
no. I'm like talking about like a dream I had last night that I
Is this going to be weird? Do I need to?
kind of towards the end of it and how I woke up. I'm like, oh my god, how this would be a nightmare. This would be maybe weird. I had a dream that maybe I went and I saw like in my closet. I opened it up. I'm like, oh shit, I had a bunch of cheap guitars everywhere. Like, so I had all my own normal ones, and then I had a bunch. I'm like,
So you were at my house.
no, and then I was like, I had tons of them in no cases. Some of them I had this hanging and under the bed. I'm like, fuck, I forgot I had that. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm not using this. How long has it been there? I gotta sell it. And I was like freaking out. I'm like, why am I hoarding all this shit? I'm like, I feel bad. I'm like, oh my god, did I borrow this from like somebody? And I was even thinking of like people like, because of like we can send pedals, and we do that a lot like between friends. Like I know I sent Doug King some stuff. I've sent you stuff. I've sent like
Right.
RJ borrows shit. I'm like, oh man, did I borrow all this stuff and never send it back? Oh my god, who did it go to? I gotta do, and I'm like freaking out. And I wake up, I'm like, that stressed me out. What the fuck? I guess that's awesome that stressed me out. That was a quote unquote. It wasn't even a nightmare. It was just me thinking, I'm like, oh my god, I have a lot of stuff to work on because of like selling stuff and or returning stuff to people. And I think of like,
So you're having minimalist nightmares.
that's it. I've talked about it on the show. I'm like, I'm just like putting on the minimalist hat for maybe a couple months. Who knows what 2022 will bring? That I'm like, bye. But dude, I am loving having less shit, but loving the stuff that you have. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
I need some more of that. I want to get back into flipping, dude. Like I have not flipped because I've been social media sober for over a year now, and the exception of TikTok, I still watch TikTok. But I don't like participate.
you're just a lurker.
You know what I mean? It's like TV.
I think
It's like,
that's the way I social media. I just lurk, and then I was like, oh man,
but man,
let me check this out. I might give that person a like.
I'm hoping I might pull. I'm working on. So I've been operating off Craigslist, which is sketchy to fucking at best.
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow, I'm hoping that I can pick up a. It's like an '80s Matsumoku made. It's an Aria Pro 2.
Yeah.
But it's like a double cutaway. I know you're not a fan, but it's like almost like a DC Les Paul kind of. It's like a mix between that and an SG or whatever. Yeah. But they got it. She's like, it's missing a saddle, and she's like, it's broken.
You're like, oh shit, you're right, it is.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. I'm gonna have to offer you like $100 less, and then she took it, and I was like, fuck, I should have offered like $150 less.
Yeah.
And it's still nothing, dude. And some of them are going online. They're for sale for $600 or $700. So we'll see. And I'm getting it like dirt cheap.
Yeah, and then you're trying to flip it.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it up, and try to flip it. And if I got to sit on it for a while, that's cool because I really dig that '80s weird shit.
Yeah.
And this one in particular has a like a kind of a cult following because apparently some of the early Nirvana shit, Cobain used one. So
nice. Yeah,
a lot of those guys like them, but they're I love all that Matsumoku shit, man. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I could never get into that flipping shit. I'm always just like buying shit to use it, or because I really want it, or because I'm like, oh, this is gonna make my album, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna get famous because no. And then I sell it because I don't use it or need it or I don't like it anymore. Yeah, so I don't know. That would probably
it gives you an appreciation for different kinds of gear, man. Like you try, like I've tried so much shit that, you know what I mean, that I didn't know I liked. Mm-hmm. And like I never thought that I liked big baseball bat necks on guitars, but it turns out that that's my jam. You know what I mean? Like
I think definitely maybe I just am putting in my own head I need to create more with what I have because I'm lucky to have what I have. And there's a lot of people that don't have guitar, bass gear, recording, or even just like the idea, not the idea to record, but like the implementation of how to like record into like their DAW or have a DAW, whatever. I'm like, man, I should be doing this more often. I do.
You have the talent and the facilities to do that.
Yeah, I do.
I had to get you to explain how to fucking use Google Hangouts. So it's not like I'm doing a lot of fucking home recording.
I do like always like bum myself out. Like, oh, I'm not recording enough. Like we just released an EP with Just In Case. I'm like, it was recorded in my bedroom. I'm like, wait, no, I am using my stuff, my shit.
Yeah,
I gotta just like, I don't know. I think everybody has their own goals of how to use their gear or to like get more gear, and it's part of the passion maybe. But not to don't bum yourself out about it. It's like it's fun, but also don't get lost in the weeds and don't get fucking too crazy and be like, I'm gonna take a loan and get a fucking Klon. I'm gonna get a 59 Les Paul and hopefully it exceeds the value or whatever that I put into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just stick to my $200 guitars and trying to flip them for $500.
Yeah, hopefully, I can make double the money or at least $100 more.
Yeah,
totally. All right, damn. Well, we got to the end here. Let's let's get on out of here. Will, thank you so much for joining. I guess I should have led that off. Kyle, he's in town, but he's busy doing work that he should be to prep for the new house. Hopefully, he'll join us in a couple weeks. So he is on the Patreon. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, he is on the Patreon episode. So that's like a little like get over the fucking Patreon, pay $2. But yeah, Kyle's busy. He's working. Like I don't want to bug him while he's in town because he needs to get kind of basically it's moving your whole life like 2 or 3 states away. It's not just in town moving. It's like, no, we need to get all this shit over there. So he's like logistics and stuff like that. So
That's fucking bullshit, Brian. What's more important, your life or your podcast?
I know that's what
You know
I
mean?
said. So I'm saying, Kyle, you're dead to me.
Right.
Ever since you
Priorities.
ever since you chose the fucking, packing of your life over the podcast, you're fucking dead. But Will, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for
It was a lot of fun.
having
It
me,
felt
man.
like, we were just talking the whole time. I'm like, oh, I guess we only talked about one thing. So, so Will, where can people find where can people find out about Just Surprise Me?
Well, I mean, wherever your favorite podcasts are sold.
Yeah.
We're pretty much on all of them. I don't.
What is it? It's a podcast where 4 guys just talk about shit for about an hour.
Yeah, talk about random bullshit for an entire hour.
Yeah.
We initially we had a format, but it didn't work.
Yeah,
because it was ended up being just idiots googling shit.
Yeah,
the whole time. So
we had to do some work. So nah, fuck it. It's just riffing for an hour. I like it. It's a good comedy podcast. Kind of like
not family friendly.
Yeah.
Not safe for work. Put your headphones in.
Get the earbuds in if you're listening at work. But so go check them out. Check out Just Surprise Me podcast and all. I think you guys are on Spotify, iTunes, a lot of the major ones. So check them out. And then if you, the listener, first listener, thank you for tuning in. First of all, but if you like what you hear, you can follow along with the Tone Jerks on social media. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook group linked in the description, as well as our Instagram, also linked in the description at the Tone Jerks, posting cool shit on the reg over there. And then if you really like what you hear, you can help support the show on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. But if you double down for $2 a month, you get an extra episode every week. And just for the support, I'm going to do it this week. I want to give you all a huge shout out, a sizable acknowledgement. Let me take a sip of my warm Truly here. The best. Boy, that tastes like shit.
It hurts my feelings.
Yeah, a warm, last swig of Truly. So, that's a tribute to all the fucking Patreon subscribers out there. We're going down the list here. First off, different order here because I'm actually reading off the site here. So normally Kyle has a list, and it took us probably 3 years to actually have a list that we wrote out. Kyle typed out a list. We'd always have it on paper. And now I'm like, oh yeah, since Kyle's taking care of it, I'm like, oh shit, I got to pull up the list. So anyways, got the list over here on Patreon. Thank you everybody for supporting. We got Nicholas Payson. We got Michael McAvey. What up? We got this is what I do. That's what I'm doing while I'm scrolling down. We got Matthew Fenslaw, not Michael.
Same thing.
I think somebody who's not here may have fucked up. It's Matthew Fenslaw. Thank you for the support there. We got
It's not even close.
what starts with an M? I don't know. Yeah. It's what happens when you get fucking getting jiggy with it. Kyle's getting too much. Oh shit, I named him. That was Kyle's fault. We got Tyler Ryans from Tyler KC Riffs on Instagram. Jonathan Jebrzik from 12th Hour Devices. He's got some cool shit over there. I recently got back. He sent us a chorus kind of tape delay modulation pedal thing that I think I should do at least a live stream of. It's fucking rad. So check out 12th Hour Devices over there.
You have my attention.
Yeah, I know. I got Tim Nowick from Bardic Audio Devices. Shout out. What up? We got Scott Hamilton. Oh, from the Effects Loop podcast. You know who it is. We got Eric Amaro from ELM Effects YouTube. He is moving and he is selling some pedals. Check out his Instagram to see which ones he's selling, because you might be able to, give him a shout and give him a deal. We got Zach Hale. We got Mike Oxpick. we got Juan Ortiz from Tone Hungry Effects. We got Steve Ralph, 60 Cycle Hum. We got Sean Wright from Lollygagger Effects. We got Mel Chipson from Chipson Guitars. I almost read his actual name. Gotta read the alias over here. We got Nicholas Ogburn. We got Hugh G. Rection. Oh my god. Give him wide berth over there. We got Brian Nutter from Nutter Guitars. We got Alvaro Viramontes. We got Colin from the band Mr. Specific. We got Sean Fahey. We got Kevin Equitz. Oh my God, Equitz Guitars. What up? Have you ever heard of that band? That brand of guitars?
Maybe you mentioned it.
Oh, man, I don't know. Check him out. We got Steve Mike from Hardly Human. We got Sean Arbo from Gun Street Wiring Shop.
I miss that guy.
This is actually a harder job than I give Kyle credit for here. We got the young king, Douglas King, over there. We got Andrew Walsh from the Second Button podcast. It's going to be coming. Andrew Walsh and I are going to start a podcast. Keep an eye out for that. But he's also from Andrew's Alcove. We got Doug Christ from 37 Effects, and he's also on the Just Surprise Me podcast with Will over here. Oh, yeah. He's keeping things classy over there.
That's my favorite old bastard right there.
He's also on Masters of the Cinematic Universe. Yep, that is hard to say. Masters of the Cinematic. Yep. Kyle does it every week, and yep, that's hard. We got Jason Fuzzmonger. We got Jamie Davis. We got Will Lehew. Oh, in the flesh here.
Hey.
What up? We got Abe Newman. We got Joseph from Like My Pedals and the Just Surprise Me podcast. Was it the Like My Network is what he's doing over there? All the podcasts. We got Masters of the Cinematic Universe. And we got
don't even get me started.
Yeah. He's doing a lot over there. And then we got
doing something.
Howie Felter Snatch. Formerly Johnny Two Guns. That one's pretty good. So stupid. Because you can change it on Patreon, and we just never know the names. And so for the longest time, I didn't know he changed it. That one's pretty good.
Howie Filter Snatch.
Yeah. And then we got Telly Talks. Oh, Telly Talks, YouTube, Instagram fame over there. And then we got Co Schneider from the Flippin' Flippers podcast. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. Will, thank you so much for joining us. And I say us joining me. Yeah, that was this was fun. Yeah,
very nice. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
I got to get fucking Joe on the podcast. I think a little left out over there. Feel bad.
He's all right.
He's all right. He's gonna boycott the pod. All right, check out Just Surprise Me. We will see you next week. We love you. Bye bye.
See you.